In light of all the shocking new claims, it's important to go back and look at what really started this firestorm. Stories like this don't just appear from nowhere. They grow layer by layer, building on receipts, evidence, and one unforgettable moment that forced everyone to pay attention. This entire chain of events began with a single clip. That video wasn't a vague meme or a whispered rumor people only have heard. It was direct, it was clear, and it was posted by blogger Tasha K. In that moment, the spotlight landed on Martell Holt, and the internet was shaken in a way that made the air feel heavy. You could almost sense the silence that followed, as if people were holding their breath. That post didn't just gain popularity for a few hours before fading away. No, it sparked something much deeper. It created a ripple effect, a truth bomb that exploded across timelines and forced people to face what had been whispered for so long. Martell's response? He didn't admit, reflect, or show remorse. Instead, he went straight to denial, mocking, and pushing blame anywhere but on himself. And while he was busy doing that, Melody Cherie, the woman at the center of it all, stepped forward in a very different way. Melody didn't come online for attention or to stir unnecessary drama. She didn't cry for sympathy. She came with honesty. Her words were raw, uncomfortable, but undeniable. She went live, not to bash her ex-partner, but to protect herself and tell the story of what she had been living through: harassment, stalking, constant threats, and the ongoing nightmare of not being able to fully separate from Martell, even though their relationship was over. Now, pause for a second and think about what that must feel like. Imagine telling the public that the father of your children is still showing up uninvited, still bothering you in public places, still crossing boundaries, and still pushing your peace to the edge. That isn't just stressful, it's terrifying. And yet, instead of receiving full support, Melody faced the unthinkable: blame. That's where the real issue begins. How did we reach a point where a woman openly saying, "I don't feel safe," gets shrugged off as being dramatic? How did protecting herself turn into people questioning what she did wrong? That's the heart of this story: the disturbing habit of blaming the victim before ever questioning the abuser. Melody was clear. She raised her voice and said, "This man is harassing me." The response should have been collective support. Instead, some people turned the spotlight back on her, asking, well, what did she do to make him mad? That way of thinking doesn't just hurt, it's dangerous. And Martell took advantage of it. Rather than responding to Tasha K with dignity, Martell sank lower. He chose to text her, making childish jokes about Melody's clothing when she showed up in court to seek justice. Stop and think about that. A man who admitted to harassment turned around and ridiculed the very woman he had wronged, mocking her outfit as if it were all some comedy routine. That single act shows exactly where his mind was. Not in remorse, not in reflection, but in entertainment, treating another person's trauma like a punchline. When people began pressing him, Martell tried a different tactic. He insisted that if he had truly done something serious, he would already be behind bars. But that argument doesn't hold weight. Paying a $300 fine for harassing communication doesn't mean innocence. It simply means the system gave him a warning and told him to stop. Meanwhile, Melody had to carry the heavy reality of that behavior every single day. What made matters worse was Martell's boldness. Instead of laying low after admitting his actions, he returned to the courthouse as if nothing had happened. And he didn't come alone. Standing by his side was Arionne Curry, the same woman he once publicly called a peasant, yet now uses as a partner in chaos. She wasn't quietly standing in the background either. She was loud, aggressive, and disruptive, almost as if her goal was to escalate the situation and get under Melody's skin. This wasn't random. It looked planned, almost like a tag team intimidation strategy. But Melody, she stayed unshaken. She didn't yell, didn't argue back, and didn't fuel the drama online. Instead, she posted two simple pictures, one of a rooftop and another of peace with a caption about healing. No names, no shade, no mess, just calm. That silence spoke louder than any insult Martell could throw, because when someone chooses to heal without revenge, it terrifies the person who caused the pain. And Martell, deep down, was scared. He knew he lost a woman who had grown too wise for his games. And worse, the public was watching him unravel in real time. Martell believed he could control the narrative. He thought his charm, his voice, and his excuses could overshadow reality. But the truth doesn't bend just because someone shouts louder. His mask began slipping the moment Melody stopped playing his game. When he realized his usual tactics weren't working, Martell tried flipping the script. He painted Melody as too dramatic, too emotional, and overreacting. But receipts started surfacing. Police reports, screenshots, public documents, and suddenly there was no space left for spin. Melody wasn't just throwing out claims, she had solid evidence, and people online began connecting the dots themselves. Each time Martell made an excuse, tried to embarrass her, or played the victim in public, it circled back like a mirror reflecting his own behavior. Things reached another low when he attempted to portray himself as the real victim. He even sent Tasha K videos of Melody crying, hoping to frame her as unstable. But the intent was clear. He wasn't trying to give context. He was manipulating the audience, twisting her pain into entertainment and setting her up to be judged unfairly. That's how manipulation works. Push someone to their breaking point, record their reaction, then step back and say, "See, look what she did." But fans weren't fooled. They saw the gaslighting, the setup, and the fake sympathy for what it was. Meanwhile, Martell kept posting filtered selfies online. No apology, no ownership, no accountability. Just photos screaming, "Pity me," louder than any caption could. Melody, on the other hand, kept moving forward. She focused on her businesses, raising her children, and building her future brick by brick. Her energy was bright, and that glow only made Martell more uneasy. Arionne Curry's presence can't be ignored here. She has been in Martell's orbit for years, used when it suited him and ignored when it didn't. And there she was outside the courthouse, shouting and performing like she had something to prove. But the truth is plain. Deep down, she knows she isn't truly valued. Martell never gave her the respect, acknowledgement, or love she wanted. He keeps her close enough to use, but far enough that she'll never rise. And sadly, she continues to fight his battles just to feel included. This is the repeating pattern. Martell doesn't respect women. Not Melody, not Arionne, not the producers he argued with, not the hosts he clashed with. He disrespected Carlos King, the very man who gave him a platform. He picked fights with cast members, cut off interviewers, and dodged questions instead of giving answers. And yet, some people still defend him. Some even suggest Melody is equally toxic. But let's pause and really think. How can anyone watch a woman endure harassment and then ask what she did to deserve it? That logic is twisted and harmful. This story is not just about a broken marriage or messy divorce. It's about responsibility. It's about how society treats women when they say, "Enough." It's about the way pride can drive people to hurt the very ones they once promised to protect. It's about a community that doesn't always stand up when someone is asking for help. This isn't a scripted TV drama. This is real life. And the consequences are far greater than likes, shares, or ratings. At its core, this is about safety, respect, and truth. Truth that refuses to stay hidden. Martell never expected the backlash to grow this big. He thought charm, excuses, and distractions would cover the cracks like before. But this time, the public wasn't buying it. He didn't receive sympathy, he received scrutiny. He wasn't protected by his own narrative, he was buried by it. People began digging. Old interviews resurfaced. Clips of him brushing off Melody's pain, grinning while dodging questions, boasting about being responsible. Every smirk, every dismissive remark, it all returned like a haunting reminder. Fans weren't just watching anymore, they were calling him out. And Melody, she barely had to speak. Her calm, her silence, and her focus said more than any rant could. She healed, she grew, she thrived, and that hurt Martell most of all. He assumed she would always forgive, always stay, always protect his image. He thought her strength was his shield. What he didn't realize is that strength has limits. When Melody hit hers, she didn't just leave, she soared. She didn't ask permission to move forward. She created her own peace. Every time she smiled, every new success reminded him of the downfall he created for himself. But this story goes beyond two people. It's about the larger problem of what happens when women speak up and are ignored. Melody brought receipts, police reports, and clear accounts of harassment. Still, some people dismissed her as angry. That is exactly the cycle. Tell women to speak up, then punish them when they do. Martell himself stood in court and admitted harassment. Yet days later, he repeated the same behavior outside the courthouse. No shame, no pause, no growth. Some men don't want peace, they want control. Tasha K played a significant role in keeping this story alive. Whether people agree with her style or not, her platform ensured the truth wasn't buried. That one video going public, coupled with Melody's voice, turned whispers into a global conversation. And Martell hated it, because once the narrative left his hands, he lost control of how people saw him. Some fans still try to minimize it, labeling it a simple relationship fallout. But this is far bigger. It's not just a breakup gone wrong. It's a pattern of control, harassment, and manipulation. It's not about two people arguing privately. It's about behavior displayed openly, repeatedly, and dangerously. Martell kept trying to appear unaffected. He posted photos at the gym, wrote captions about fatherhood, and carried on as though everything was fine. But the cracks showed. The anger, the desperation, the realization that his carefully built image was collapsing. Meanwhile, Melody kept rising. Her brand expanded, her story made headlines, and her name gained respect. Each time she showed happiness, it reminded the world that she wasn't broken. She was simply done. And that's the real lesson. This isn't about revenge. It's about release. Melody let go. Martell couldn't. And the entire world saw the difference play out in real time. One path led to freedom, the other path led to exposure. So now, for everyone watching, the question is simple. When truth finally comes to the surface, will you face it or will you fight it? Melody chose light, Martell chose denial, and the difference between the two couldn't be clearer. At the end of the day, this story isn't just drama. It's a lesson about truth, healing, and strength. Melody chose peace while Martell clung to chaos, and the world saw the difference. Remember, protecting your peace is more powerful than defending a lie.